Hello everyone and welcome to Barca News. It's January 11th, 2023 and Barcelona have begun negotiations with Atletico de Madrid over the possible loan of Memphis Depay. Also, Newcastle have entered the race for the signing of Yusufa Mukoku, and it seems that AC Milan are interested in signing Raphinha, while Arsenal are interested in taking Eric Garcia away. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. My name is Mo and we'll begin with the news that Real Madrid just defeated Valencia through penalty kicks in the Spanish Super Cup semi-final. And as such, Real Madrid are now moving to the Spanish Super Cup final, which will take place on Sunday, January the 15th. Now, Barcelona are set to face off against Real Betis in the second Spanish Super Cup semi-final tomorrow. And if Barcelona win, then we're gonna have al-Clásico match in the Spanish Super Cup final, which is of course very exciting for our sport. But we can't get ahead of ourselves because Barcelona need to win tomorrow's match against an opponent that will be very difficult to beat. Now, speaking of the Spanish Super Cup, it's reported that Barcelona have now made 8 million euros by just being in the competition. And if Barcelona advance to the final, they will make an additional 2 million euros. And if they do end up winning the final, then Barcelona will end up making a total of 12 million euros. But as of now, they have made 8 million euros. And given the difficult financial situation of the club, that is of course great news for the club's finances. Now on to the news that the Royal Spanish Football Federation have now confirmed Ferran Torres' punishment, and they have issued him a 2-match ban after receiving a red card during the match against Atletico de Madrid for that physical altercation that Ferran Torres engaged in with the Atletico de Madrid player Savic. Now, I personally think that this is a very well-deserved punishment for Ferran Torres because physical fights have no place in the sport of football. But it does bring up an interesting point, which is the mediocrity of Spanish refereeing, which I've touched on many times before in my previous videos. Because here we have Ferran Torres who engaged in a physical fight and he receives a 2-match ban. But yet Robert Lewandowski makes this gesture where he touches his nose and he receives a 3-match ban, which is of course absolutely ridiculous. Now, I'm not saying that Ferran Torres does not deserve his punishment. He totally deserves to be banned for 2 matches because there's no place for fighting in football. But it's ridiculous that Robert Lewandowski would receive a 3-match ban for a gesture that could or couldn't be interpreted as a criticism from the referee. But this is of course just one more instance of the inconsistency of Spanish refereeing, because as I said before, Real Madrid's coach Carlo Ancelotti had word for word criticized the referee and he wasn't punished, but Robert Lewandowski, with a gesture that could be or couldn't be interpreted as a criticism of a referee, receives a 3-match ban. Now with this decision, the Royal Spanish Football Federation are pretty much saying that it's better to punch your opponent in the face rather than make a gesture criticizing the referee. Now, the Royal Spanish Federation did not only meet to decide the punishment on Ferran Torres, they also met in order to discuss the formal complaint that Espanyol had lodged against Barcelona. Now, as reported previously, after the Catalan derby between Barcelona and Espanyol filed an official complaint alleging that Barcelona had fielded an ineligible player, which was Robert Lewandowski, who was supposed to be serving a 3-match ban, but he wasn't. But he was able to play during that match because Barcelona had appealed his punishment to a justice court, and that court had decided to suspend the punishment temporarily until they were given enough time to discuss the case and rule on it. Now, the Royal Spanish Football Federation have decided to dismiss Espanyol's complaint, which I thought that it was silly to begin with because Barcelona hadn't done anything illegal. They were only following the court's decision, which allowed them to field Robert Lewandowski in the Catalan derby. Now, speaking of ineligible players, it's being reported that the Barcelona Femení could be kicked out of the Copa de la Reina for fielding an ineligible player. Now, as I reported in yesterday's video, the Barcelona Femení qualified to the quarterfinals of the Copa de la Reina, which is the equivalent of the Copa del Rey, after absolutely demolishing Osasuna 0-9. Now, after that match, Osasuna filed an official complaint with the Royal Spanish Football Federation, asking that governmental body to kick the Barcelona Femení out of the Spanish Cup because they had fielded Geisa Ferreira, which Osasuna are alleging that she was ineligible to play during that match. Well, it seems that Geisa Ferreira had been expelled in the last edition of the Copa de la Reina against Real Madrid, and she was supposed to be suspended for one match. But Barcelona are alleging that they were unaware of this suspension because it didn't appear in the Royal Spanish Football Federation's records. Now Osasuna are alleging that the Barcelona Femení should be kicked out for fielding that ineligible player, and that Osasuna should take the place of the Barcelona Femení in the quarterfinals of the competition, even though they were eliminated and they were absolutely destroyed. Now, the Barcelona Femení have won this competition for the past 3 years, and they have a good chance at making it 4 years in a row. But of course, all of this will depend on what the Royal Spanish Football Federation decide to do. Now on to the news that Barcelona have began official negotiations with Atletico de Madrid for the possible loan of Memphis Depay. Now, as I reported in yesterday's video, it's been confirmed that Joao Felix will leave Atletico de Madrid and join Chelsea on loan for the remainder of the season. And as a result of this transfer, Atletico de Madrid are now in the market to find a replacement for their Portuguese star. And it seems that the Madrid-based club have decided that Memphis Depay should be the replacement of Joao Felix. Well, Barcelona have began official negotiations with Atletico de Madrid for the loan of the Dutch forward for the remainder of the season. And it's reported that Barcelona are very much in favor of this move because they would be able to remove Memphis Depay's salary off their books for the remainder of the season. And they're also looking to make around 4 to 5 million euros off the transfer of the Dutch forward. Well, it's reported that Atletico de Madrid are not willing to pay a fee to Barcelona, but they are willing to cover the entire salary of Memphis Depay. However, Barcelona are not willing to back down because they don't want to look foolish once again with Atletico de Madrid, where they sold us Antoine Griezmann for a total of 135 million euros, and they forced us to sell them back to them for only 20 million euros. Now, Xavi is reportedly not willing to pressure Memphis Depay to leave during the winter transfer market because, as I've reported previously, Xavi considers that any player leaving during the winter would mean weakening the squad, since Barcelona are not going to be able to sign any players due to the financial fair play rules. But if Memphis Depay does decide to leave on his own accord, then Xavi will respect the decision of the player, but he's not willing to pressure Depay to leave during the winter. Now, with the arrival of Joao Felix in Chelsea and with the possible arrival of Memphis Depay in Atletico de Madrid to replace Joao Felix, rumors began to swirl that Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang could come back to Barcelona to replace Memphis Depay on the squad. Well, as I told you in yesterday's video, this was very much unlikely because Barcelona considered the transfer of Memphis Depay as a done deal, since they were able to make 12 million euros plus the signing of Marcos Alonso of Aubameyang, who arrived for free at the club. And Barcelona were also able to remove the huge salary of Aubameyang off their books, so they had considered this deal as done and they weren't considering bringing back Aubameyang. Well, it's now being reported that the Gabonese star has contacted Barcelona and offered his services, and he has even offered to reduce his salary dramatically so he can come back to the Catalan club. Well, despite this news, Barcelona are still not considering bringing Aubameyang back because, as I just said, they considered this deal as done and finished. And even if Barcelona wanted to bring Aubameyang back to the club, they would have to offload 2 players to clear enough space on their wage bill. And even if Barcelona wanted to bring Aubameyang back, and even if they did have enough space on their wage bill, per La Liga rules, Barcelona would be unable to register Aubameyang because they just offloaded him, and La Liga's rules prevent a club from offloading a player and then bringing them back during the same season, which means that Barcelona would have to wait until the summer transfer market to register Aubameyang. So it wouldn't make sense to bring a player back just so he's unable to play any matches. Now, despite all of this, it's my personal opinion that Barcelona should not bring Aubameyang back. Because yes, Aubameyang did have great time at Barcelona and he adapted right away to the team once he arrived. And thanks to his efforts, Barcelona were able to qualify to the Champions League this season. However, Robert Lewandowski is now on the squad, and everything that Aubameyang can do, Lewandowski can do much better, because after all, Lewandowski is one of the best, if not the best striker in the entire world. So this means that Aubameyang would come to Barcelona not in a starting role, but as a substitute of Lewandowski, since the Polish striker is better than Aubameyang. And since Aubameyang would be the substitute of Lewandowski, I think that Barcelona should sign, if they're going to sign a replacement for Lewandowski, should sign a young player, someone with a lot of promise, who could learn from Lewandowski, who could train under the tutelage of Lewandowski. So when Lewandowski's time is up, this young player could take his place and we could have a striker for many years to come. Now, if Aubameyang comes as Lewandowski's substitute, once Lewandowski's time is up at the club, Aubameyang's time will also be up at the club because he is around the same age as Lewandowski. So then Barcelona would be left without any strikers. Now, the arrival of Aubameyang would also mean that it would be less likely that Barcelona could sign Youssoufa Mukoku because, as I reported previously, Barcelona are looking to sign Mukoku in the summer as a replacement for Lewandowski in the future. And Mukoku was considering extending his contract with Dortmund so Barcelona can sign him in 2 years, which is when Lewandowski's contract will expire with Barcelona, because Mukoku is worried about not getting enough playing time with the presence of the Polish striker on the squad. Now, if Barcelona signed Aubameyang, then Mukoku would have to worry about competing with Lewandowski and with Aubameyang, and with Mukoku being third in the picking order, he would definitely not be getting much playing time. So this would mean that Mukoku would even consider staying at Dortmund even more. And if Barcelona would have to sacrifice the arrival of Mukoku, who's 18, and who is one of the most promising players in the entire world of football, just so they can bring back Aubameyang, who is 33 years old and nearing retirement, it doesn't make any sense. But I would love to hear from you, so leave a comment down below letting me know whether Barcelona should try to bring Aubameyang or not. Now, speaking of Youssoufa Mukoku, it's reported that the Premier League club Newcastle have entered the race for the young German star. Now, Newcastle were recently purchased by a Saudi Arabian investment fund, and as such, they now have unlimited funds and they're looking to build a strong team, and they have been spending lots of money, more than any European clubs, on trying to sign the best players in the world. Where it seems that Newcastle are now interested in signing Youssoufa Mukoku, and they have offered Dortmund a 30 million euro transfer fee to take the player during this winter transfer market, and they've also offered Youssoufa Mukoku a 9 million euro salary per season for a 4-year contract. Now, this is of course a lot more than what Dortmund could hope for if Mukoku does end up signing for Barcelona, because if Mukoku does sign for Barcelona, it would be in the summer as a free agent, so Dortmund wouldn't make a single dime. And this would be also a lot more money for the player, because it's reported that if Mukoku does arrive in Barcelona, then Barcelona would pay him around 5 to 6 million euros a season, which is much less than the 9 million euros that Newcastle are currently offering him. Now, as I reported previously, this could be a very decisive week for Mukoku, who will decide on whether to extend his contract with Dortmund, and if he does, it's reported that he wants to negotiate an affordable release clause so Barcelona can sign him down the road, because it's his dream to end up at the Catalan club. Or he could decide not to renew his contract with Dortmund and wait for Barcelona to sign him in the summer as a free agent. But of course, we're now going to have to wait and see what does the interest of Newcastle mean to the decision making of Youssoufa Mukoku. Now on to the news that AC Milan are very interested in signing Raphinha in the summer transfer market. Now, Paolo Maldini, the legendary defender, has now become the sporting director of AC Milan, and it seems that Maldini is very interested in signing Raphinha, and the club are willing to make Barcelona a substantial offer to take their Brazilian star in the summer transfer market. Now, as of now, Barcelona are not considering the sale of Raphinha, but they do know that if they do decide to end up selling him, that Barcelona can make their money back, because there's also a lot of interest in Raphinha in the Premier League. Now, I personally have been disappointed by Raphinha, because Barcelona did, after all, invest around 60 million euros on a Brazilian star, and he has spent most of his time on the bench. And even when he does come in on the field, he is not a differential player, and he is not the kind of player that can change the outcome of a match. Now, I do believe in players being given enough time to adapt to their new team, especially when that new team is in a whole different league. So I do think that Raphinha should be given an opportunity to show his skills until the end of the season. But I do believe that if Raphinha does not show an increase in his performance by the end of the season, that Barcelona should seriously consider offloading him, because after all, he was the biggest investment that Barcelona have made this past summer, and he has been very underwhelming. So Barcelona should consider selling him if he doesn't improve his performance by the end of the season. Now, Raphinha is not the only player that other clubs are interested in taking away. today, it seems that Mikel Arteta's Arsenal are very interested in signing Eric Garcia. Now, Eric Garcia and Mikel Arteta coincided in Manchester United when Eric Garcia was playing under Pep Guardiola and when Mikel Arteta was Pep Guardiola's assistant coach. And it seems that Arteta is very impressed with the Spanish defender, and he considers that Eric Garcia could be a huge boost to Arsenal and is looking to take him away either on loan or on a permanent basis. Now, Xabi is not in favor of any players leaving during this winter transfer market, but it's reported that if Barcelona receive a substantial offer, that they could consider selling Eric Garcia. Now, even though I'm a huge fan of Eric Garcia and I consider him to be a very solid center back with a very good ball clearance and who's very good with ball control at his feet, I really do think that if Barcelona receive a substantial offer, they should consider selling him, because after all, Eric Garcia has become Barcelona's fifth center back behind Jules Koundé, Eric Araujo, Ronald Araujo, Andreas Christensen, and even Marcos Alonso. So if Barcelona can sell their fifth center back for a substantial amount of money, this will be a huge boost for the club financially, especially since Eric Garcia arrived on a free transfer. Now we will end today's video with the news that the Saudi club al-Nassr have made a verbal offer to Sergio Busquets. And it seems that the Saudi club, who just signed Cristiano Ronaldo, have offered Sergio Busquets a 30 million euro salary per season, which is of course a lot of money for a player nearing retirement. Now, as I reported previously, Busquets is still considering what to do in regards to his future, on whether to go to the MLS at the end of the season when his contract will expire with Barcelona, or whether he's going to extend his contract with Barcelona for one more season. And no matter what Sergio Busquets decides, it seems that the Spanish midfielder has many options to consider: the MLS, Europe, or even the Saudi club al-Nassr, who seem to be looking to build a super team, because it's also reported that they're considering signing N'Golo Kante and even Sergio Ramos. So that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give me a like. Also, I'd like to invite all of you to please leave a comment down below, giving me all your thoughts and opinions about all the news that I share with you. And finally, I would like to invite all of you to please subscribe to the channel so you can stay up to date on all the current news in regards to our beloved club, FC Barcelona. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video. And as always, Visca Barça.